You want to see something really scary?
You bet.
I'll tear your soul apart.
Jesus Christ!
No, it's not.
Now, was that civilized? No, clearly not. Fun, but in no sense civilized.
And I just can't get away from horror. I know Halloween's over, but damn it, I can't stop. I just can't stop. You try stopping me. Anyway,
I tried.
Yeah, you tried, and you failed miserably. You know, hell, we're actually in...
He tied me up.
We're actually in rehearsals right now on a horror play for January. So...
I am?
Yes, you are.
So that's right.
So that's why you haven't been showing up at rehearsals.
I'm just kidding, Jim, if you're watching.
Yeah, coming off of Christmas Evil, it just, we seem to have broached some pretty interesting subjects regarding our feelings on holiday horror. We've asked this question before, even in our review we did last year. Why do we feel the need to turn Christmas into a horrific thing? I mean, why is Christmas horror a thing when there are so many other holidays which I think are more ripe for it? I mean, I don't know if we count the Leprechaun movies, but I mean, when are we going to get our actual St. Patrick's Day horror movie?
Easter horror.
Or Easter
Flag
horror.
Day horror.
I actually want to see an Easter horror film that's a zombie Jesus. He comes back from the dead to eat your brains, which is basically what Jesus has been doing for the past 2,000 years. Oh! But yet, the most popular holiday to associate with horror always seems to be Christmas. So for this edition on Deep Cuts, the show that cuts deep into the heart of horror, we are going to discuss at length what is it about Christmas that we feel the compulsion to make it into the most horrible time of the year. Then let's start with Santa slashers. I mean, the guy is supposed to be the epitome, the quintessence of generosity and goodwill and giving, and yet we always feel the need to want to have them...
I think the motivation's kind of clear. It's like a lot of these films came around what they called in the UK the video nasty era.
Oh, yeah.
Where, in order to flout the people morally panicking back in the day and to really push the envelope, you tried to, go for as much shock value as possible. And what's more shocking than, of course, a beloved kids figure like Santa brutally murdering people. This is, though, the double-edged sword a lot of these movies has, because once you get beyond that premise, you have to do something more than just that weird dichotomy of having a killer Santa. Mm-hmm. You've actually got to do something interesting, and that's why a lot of these ultimately fail, because they're like, oh, we started and ended with the title, which usually comes from the lyrics of a Christmas song.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't tell you how many horror films always use Better Watch Out either as the actual title or as like the tagline. In fact, Christmas Evil, this is during the days when, in Grindhouse Cinema, a lot of times they have a different title when they actually show up in theaters, and then they change the title afterwards. That original title was You Better Watch Out. Now there is a horror film, a comedy horror film, also called Better Watch Out, which pretty much committed to just having that title.
At this stage, we've gotten past that to the point where I think anybody that was making one of those Christmas horror films now, or a Santa horror film now, knows they can't just be one note about it because it's now well-trod territory. But when, these things were less common, it's like you could just see somebody trying to make a quick buck going, let's take a beloved kids figure. We could have easily had a killer Easter Bunny movie if somebody had just been so inclined.
Yeah.
And who knows, in this alternate reality, we could have had 10 Easter Bunny films. I don't even know what you'd call them. Like Hop 1, Hop 2.
Well, I don't know. Watching the CGI on Hop was scary enough. But
oh, right, there was actually a Hop.
A Hop. Yeah, I think. Hey, you know what? Monty Python made a scary killer rabbit.
Jesus Christ!
Well, I think a lot of it is taking the subversion of the iconography. Of course, this visage of generosity. And the whole idea is, of course, what's going to make people want to let this person in your home is this person who's, ostensibly all about doing good things for people, and then all of a sudden, oh no, pulls out a knife and just starts laying waste to everyone in the room. The thing we actually have to marvel about the irony. I don't think we talked about it in the Christmas Evil video, but I find it funny that Christmas Evil came out before Silent Night, Deadly Night, and yet Silent Deadly Night was the one that had the mothers protesting outside, was the one that got pulled from theaters, and that one flat out said, this is not Santa. Where were these mothers when Goldberg's Santa Sleigh came out? Because that guy was actually freaking Santa.
He's real.
We got past the whole Tipper Gore era of, the music, whatever they called that list of the worst songs ever. I think it was a shifting in what we were willing to accept, although even by the time the Goldberg movie came out, we're more accepting of smut even now than we were then.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. But
give me smut and nothing but.
I just think, Silent Night, Deadly Night was the bigger film. Obviously, less people knew this one.
Yeah.
Also, Silent Night, Deadly Night, for all of the goofy comedic stuff it does later in the movie, has that really horrifying scene in the beginning, which includes Santa raping the dude's mother, which...
Yeah.
It's not really an easy scene to watch. I'm a fan of the film, and I don't particularly like that scene.
The Legend of Santa completely upstaged the Krampus for a long time, and it took a long time for people to actually remember the Krampus until, thank you, Michael Dougherty.
There's also an addiction to liking to revisit old folklore and, even if it's not a going back to roots thing, just kind of turn it on its head. And I mean, not just horror films do that. That god-awful Santa Claus franchise kind of did the same thing and added its own universe. And added its own universe multiple times, more than we asked for. How many did they get to? 4?
Yeah. The Santa Claus? Oh, no, 3. Just 3.
3? Oh,
yeah, mercifully 3.
What if, the way we understood the Santa tale was completely wrong from the get-go? And there's also an interest in that because for Santa to exist, I mean, granted, in the movies we were talking about earlier, it wasn't really Santa. It was somebody dressed as Santa doing the killing.
Yeah.
Other than the Goldberg movie, which I love the fact that it was really Santa in that one. For Santa to really exist in these movies, you'd have to accept that most parents are the dumbest people on the planet, that they see gifts that they know they didn't buy under the tree every year and don't question it.
Yeah.
It turns up, Santa hasn't actually visited in, several millennia, and he's back for the first time, or something interesting like a new wrinkle on it. You can kind of get around that suspension of disbelief.
I think that whether or not it succeeds or not, I think it all comes down to really the imagination of the filmmaker. I mean, there's one horror anthology movie called A Christmas Horror Story.
It's the war on Christmas.
And it all culminates in this ultimate giant epic battle between Santa Claus and the Krampus. That's really Santa doing it, but it's Santa fighting off all of his elves, end up having some kind of zombie plague kind of thing, and they storm the shop. That's the first Christmas Santa in a horror film where Santa's actually the hero figure, which was nice, made for a nice change. Now, in the Christmas Evil review, you said that holiday horror was not your particular favorite, so get deep into that.
It's not that I dislike Christmas. I'm just kind of anytime I see a film centered around a holiday, sometimes it feels a little bit beating across the head. And like I said, I'm hypocritical about that because how many times have I seen Halloween, which is basically entrenched within the holiday of Halloween. I like the movie Trick or Treat, but sometimes Christmassy movies kind of just have this seasonal feel to them, and sometimes even during the Christmas season I don't want to watch them. Horror is kind of a universal thing for me. I can watch it all times a year. But the funny thing too is what makes a movie a Christmas movie can be how much is really the holiday focused on in the movie. When we watched Christmas Evil, that was the entire theme of the film. He was obsessed with Santa. It didn't matter what time of year it was. Even before Thanksgiving, he's going to sleep in the suit. He's watching the Macy's Thanksgiving parade, and he won't turn it off until Santa comes down at the sleigh at the end. Whereas,
3615 Dial Code Santa Claus, that guy was just someone who inhabited Santa because he felt like that was... Because this is a person who very obviously wanted to have kids play with him. He wanted to try to recapture a childhood that was obviously deprived of him. So he figured the best way to get kids to do that is for him to dress up as Santa. Yeah, to do it. And then he kills a dog.
God, I hate that scene. Exactly. Whereas, like, Black Christmas, yes, it takes place during the holiday, but the focus is more not on the holiday or the season itself, but it's just where it happens to take place. And yes,
Yeah.
it's in the title.
Well, I know that wasn't the original title. I definitely know that wasn't it. The original title escapes me, but I think they want something more concise. And Black Christmas is a catchy title. It's
Also more likely to get people to the theater.
Well, ironically, it did not. Funny enough, it did not do well initially.
But what would have done under its original title?
Thought it could rely on the star power of Olivia Hussey, but...
Oh, Olivia Hussey. And
Sorry, thinking about Olivia Hussey.
Never did find out who Agnes or Billy were.
No, we never did. That's a film that's so great on its own terms that you don't even think about the Christmas element. Now, I will say this, on a visual level, the film looked great because it used a lot of the Christmas elements. I mean, the lighting of it was outstanding. The production design was on point. And the setting, it all really lent to the atmosphere and the threat level. But the brilliance of that movie had just more to do with just the way the story unfolded. And yeah, the fact that ultimately we never found out who Billy was, and the fact that there are still bodies in the attic that no one has found
Nobody
yet.
found, yeah.
And even worse, that Olivia Hussey's character is still stuck, is now, because of the police's misapprehension, is now stuck in there alone with the killer. And I was like, with Billy, and I was like, oh, I did not expect it to unfold that way. That was just...
Plus, it was a little ahead of its time with the POV shots, which became very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it had been popular in Giallo films already, but like going into like straight slashers now, just the way that opening sequence where you see him entering the house through the roof,
climbing the lattice, going into the attic, and then ultimately killing the first girl with the plastic. And the guy who directed Black Christmas is the same guy who directed Christmas Story. Did you know that?
Maybe one was atonement for the other.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think people who are sick and tired of watching A Christmas Story ad nauseum on TNT, or the people who work in retail and had to have that playing on a loop all day, I think that all you have to do is tell them, if you want to feel better about this director, don't watch Baby Geniuses. Go watch. Yes, he directed that too. And just go watch Black Christmas. You'll feel a whole lot better. Much like Black Christmas, there are a lot of other films of its ilk where it's a horrific situation that takes place on Christmas. There was another one.
Home Alone?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Funny enough, Better Watch Out is another one. It takes place on Christmas Eve, and it is much like 3615. It starts off as a home invasion movie. About a girl babysitting this kid who kind of has a crush on her. I can't tell you any more than that. If you haven't seen it, I can't tell you any more than that. There is a brilliant moment that completely debunks the paint can scene from Home Alone. Yeah, I can't tell you what. Someone online who actually did a simulation of what that would actually do to someone's face. Suffice to say, Better Watch Out was much more accurate about it than Home Alone was.
So his frontal lobe was on the can, I'm taking it.
No spoilers. Just spoilers. That's all I gotta say.
I gotta do actual work.
Yes, you do. This is deep cuts, damn you. So we've gotten deep enough into this, and as many of you viewers on Deep Cuts know, we have a little thing here. It's crunch time. Crunch time is our little game element that we throw into a Deep Cuts episode, where each of us has to give our top 5 of a certain category, and you have to give it to me in 30 seconds. But I'm also going to throw in a little bit of a caveat in there, something to trip you up a bit. Since you said that this is not your particular favorite subgenre of horror, I'm actually going to challenge you by actually giving me your legit favorites, but they cannot be either of the 2 movies that we watched here. It cannot be 3615 and it cannot be Christmas Evil. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Silent Night, Deadly Night's going to be number 1. I even dressed up as Billy one year, although people just thought I was Santa Claus, so that backfired. I did have an axe, just because it's visceral as fuck. Number 2, I would say, I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, to Slay with Goldberg, just because it's really stupid and all the famous people get killed early on. Number 3 would be Black Christmas, because it's just high quality horror. Number 4. See, I gave too much
Yeah.
Exposition. All right, well, I got 3 up.
Nothing kills a show like too much exposition.
Ooh.
How many people are going to get that reference?
Probably 1% of you.
1% of you. Why do I not have a show about musical theater? Oh, wait a minute, that's right. Because I can't do better than Diva at Musical Hell, that's why. You actually got about, I believe you got 3 on that one. Later on, you will be able to get Revenge on Me with a category and a caveat of your choosing. If I can't get more than that, then you will win the round. With that train of thought regarding what we were saying about old-time folklore, now kind of coming out, it is kind of great to see that the Krampus is now actually becoming something more of a recognized figure in holiday folklore. And yeah, a lot of it can be attributed to the movie Krampus with Michael Dougherty's efforts. But there was another film which I did review in our very first year on Narcotic Casserole, Rare Exports, which started off as a series of shorts about packaging and selling your own Santa kind of thing, but made a full-blown feature film out of it. And it's a pretty damn amazing film, but that's another one that I would even say, to many extents, goes even more hardcore than Krampus did. I did that review way before we had Rare Delicacies, so if I had known I was going to do Rare Delicacies, I would have saved it for Rare Delicacies, because I do urge people. It is, that one is definitely on Shudder. That one actually is on a lot of streaming services. That one's actually becoming like a really popular in the dark little gem for like the people who want like something much more interesting for their holiday viewing schedule. So, I mean, are there any that you do consider like essential holiday viewing? Like every year you got to watch that one?
Some of them, like Black Christmas, as much as I put it high on my list, I haven't watched it in like 7 or 8 years, and it doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means I haven't really felt the urge. Silent Night, Deadly Night I've returned to more often, probably every other year, only because I just love watching that scene where Billy sees Santa and starts over-dramatically throwing up, or pretending to throw, gagging in the store.
Yeah.
I always think of that cheesy-ass scene, and so it always inspires me to put it on. But usually, during the holiday season, often I've burnt myself out during the Halloween season on horror, which is not to say I'm not a full-time horror dude, but, usually the urge to watch other films comes on, and not necessarily, like, Christmas movies like It's a Wonderful Life, because I couldn't watch that again if I wanted to. But, Silent Night, Deadly Night's probably the only one that I, watch, if not every year, every other year. The others, it's more like when the mood hits, and it doesn't have to be Christmas time. It could be whenever I just feel like watching it.
Even though, again, like me, I never stop watching horror practically all year. The ones that I actually, there are ones that I flat out save. You, for Silent Night, Deadly Night 1, me, I'm sorry, I have to just keep watching Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. The magic of Eric Freeman, garbage day aside, just him just with his gun going, some of the most question mark inducing acting I've ever seen in my life that somehow, some way is so wonderful and so perfect. I don't know. But for the life of me, I do want to actually sit down and binge the entire franchise, because that, I don't know if you know, the franchise down the line became even more insane. The third one, Eric Freeman's character is played by Bill Moseley, but with an even more chop top, because the top of his head is sawed off and he has like his brain in a freaking salad bowl, kind of like the man with the screaming brain type deal, and we don't know why. And from what I understand, that was actually a made-for-TV horror film, so it wasn't even particularly interesting for the
channel.
You know what? It would be a lot less unnerving than Holiday in Handcuffs. So.
Well, the red shoes, for that matter.
Oh God! Or A Christmas Kiss 1 or 2.
How do we know all of these?
I've seen things. The fourth one was directed by Brian Usna, of Society, and producer of Reanimator. So there's going to be some. And also, Screaming Mad George did the effects for it. That one actually got into some witchcraft and cults and stuff like that. That on Christmas Day, during the holidays. The fifth one kind of reverted back to Christmas a little bit more because it was called The Toy Maker, and so it involved a toy maker going insane. And giving out toys like that kill.
Aren't they, by definition, usually starting at insane?
I mean, leave it to someone like Mr. Geppetto to make something out of wood and want to have a son. as a result of it. I don't know.
You usually do use your wood to make a sun, but not in that way.
And this has been observed many times by horror enthusiasts, but the funniest thing about Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5 is that the titular toy maker is played by Mickey Rooney. Now, that alone is hilarious. But the fact that but Mickey Rooney notoriously was very outspoken about his disdain about the first film. And then, lo and behold, here he is in Part 5.
Somebody had bills.
And he's got himself his own little son, whose name is Pino. And you find out that he's basically a living Ken doll. And there's a part where this living Ken doll tries to have his way with a woman. And yeah, like any Ken doll. And it's stuff like that. You watch the sex scene from Bride of Chucky just to feel better. And they did do a remake, which is kind of much more back to the roots Santa slasher, much like the first one. Definitely didn't follow the story of the first one. Didn't even do the full title, it's just Silent Night. Which, by definition, if you're killing people and all that, it's probably not going to be that quiet of a night.
Well, I'm not going to be a silent night at all. Those police scanners are going to be lighting up.
But there's another Christmas horror film, which honestly is kind of a blast to watch in itself. And this is another film that does not take it seriously at all.
Jack Frost.
Look, Ma! I'm a Picasso!
That is a film that knows exactly what the hell it is. That is a film that, much like how Christmas Evil committed to what they were doing, Jack Frost knew full well there was no way you were going to make a legitimately scary film with a killer snowman. And they just said, screw it, this is going to be a comedy.
Compounding things are when 2 years later that family film called Jack Frost came out with Michael Keaton.
And yes, ironically, that one was scarier.
I'm home. Charlie, to me, it's that.
There were people online trolling saying that it was a sequel to the first, which it was not, but...
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at this Jack Frost, look at that Jack Frost, and tell me which one's scarier.
Jack Frost going, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts!
But you know what? The Killer Snowman one actually got a sequel, so,
I've been thinking on this one, and I still have a feeling that you're going to get 5, but I'm going to try. So your favorite Christmas horror film that does not involve Santa Claus as a main character, either the real Santa or somebody dressing as Santa.
Okay, so to make sure I got this right, so none of the main characters are Santa by either fake Santa or real Santa.
Correct.
Okay, and these have to be my favorite Christmas horror films that don't involve that.
Yes.
30 seconds, and go. Okay, there's Anna and the Apocalypse. That definitely, I consider it a Christmas movie. Krampus, most definitely, because Santa technically does not appear in it. Gremlins, while you see the Gremlins kill a Santa, it's not actually the real Santa.
I'll allow it.
Yes, Gremlins technically counts. I will also say Black Christmas as well, and just because I say it, just so I can finally get a 5 for once, better watch out. There we go.
Good job.
That is actually the first time I've ever actually won a round.
You didn't start giving reasons why.
Learn my mistake, because that's what I did the first time.
How long is 30 seconds anyway?
It always feels like it's longer. Like
30 seconds, no more dick. 30 seconds, no more dick.
See, this is why you're my friend, that you're going to make Dick Tracy references. Thank you for that. We actually didn't talk about Gremlins, and how do we, much like Die Hard, that's another one that you have all these like uptight people trying to denounce it as a Christmas movie, when it's like, no, Christmas motivates the plot on this one. The whole reason his dad is like hell-bent to get Gizmo is a Christmas gift to his sons. Sorry, but yeah, that is a Christmas movie. Yeah, and I guess to kind of wrap out, I think in the end, a lot of these people who don't like these they just don't like the idea of turning a time that's supposed to be about everyone coming together, celebration of generosity. People are not stoked by the notion of demonizing it or making it a time where people can be terrified of. But the thing is, that's why a lot of them work, is because it's the one time of the year where people don't expect bad things to happen. But these movies remind us that, no, bad stuff happens all year round.
Yeah, there's no vacation for it in real life.
Yeah, as I hope, have learned very, very well in the year of our Satan 2020. Bad stuff's going to happen all the time, and unfortunately, a lot of times those bad things are probably going to come in the form of things that we normally associate with being generous. Now, it's a cynical message, but it's one that, let's face it, it wouldn't be a horror movie if it didn't take advantage of that idea. So,
the only reason the Home Alones weren't horror movies is the wrong people died. Well, nobody died, but the kid didn't die.
Hey, you know what? But thanks to Macaulay Culkin's effort, there is, online on YouTube. I mean, I would definitely say there's a nice horror subtext to it now.
First, I'm going to take you to the shower, inspect every body part of yours with actual forceps, including all your major crevices, including in between your toes and in your belly button.
I mean, there should have been a follow-up movie where the wet bandits come back brain damaged from all of the blows to the head they took, and now they're just like...
Given Disney Plus's recent efforts, there should never ever again be another Home Alone movie. Ever. Never. Never. I would rather watch Santa chop someone's head off on a sled while he's on a sled than watch Disney Plus's Home Alone sequel. What does that say for that sequel?
Would you rather be the one having their head chopped off?
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. People always ask the question, how would you die in a horror movie, and would you be pissed about it? But going, I guess it all comes down to the nature of my death. I hope my death in a horror film will be Golden Chainsaw worthy and not Dull Machete worthy. That's what I'd hope for. I mean, yeah, definitely I would want the garbage day, or I'd want the head lopped off while on a sled.
Erectile dysfunction.
You'd want a Leprechaun 4 death?
That be a lesson to you, lad. Always wear a prophylactic.
I don't know. See, I would probably die in the most unglamorous way possible, like on the toilet in one of these movies. Like, I wouldn't even get killed by whoever the slasher was. It would just be ancillary.
So you'd be like Dreamcatcher with the shit weasels.
Yeah, or like at the end, they would just have a little sentence. Oh, and by the way, Rob stopped breathing shortly after the events of this film. It's like, wow, okay. I didn't even get to die on screen.
Nah, you're worth more than that. You're worth more than that.
Are you just saying that?
I'm saying it because it's true.
Promise I wouldn't cry.
Hey, it's the holiday season, buddy. You deserve to get killed in the most spectacular fashion possible.
Thank you, man.
You are so welcome, my friend.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and something brought to mind?
That's the one.
We'll take a cup of kindness yet and tales of auld lang syne. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So for all of us at Narcotic Casserole,
God bless us, everyone.
Sure. And in the meantime, what scares you?